All right. Here's hoping this goes better than the last take. I did this great Facebook Live for you guys, and then there was no audio. So there's a lot of me looking like this, but not saying much. All right. Well, welcome to another Water Cooler Conversations, where us online business owners get to gather around our virtual water cooler and talk all things business, the nuts and bolts, and the emotional. Because most of the time, I don't know about you, but business would be a lot easier if I just get out of my own way. So usually I do talk about the emotional stuff, but today what I want to talk to you about is a bit more nuts and bolts. So give me just a moment here to share this over to my page. And I would ask you, since last time I went through this whole thing only to discover there was no sound, to just give me a note if there is in fact sound. So that way I know that I am good to go and not talking to myself for another 15 minutes or 10. All right, so the reason I had this desire to do this water cooler conversations is you may have seen my post yesterday in all red saying, big update to WordPress has dropped and you want to have a backup and you probably want to hold off on updating your site. And, in the WordPress community, definitely there's a lot going on right now where people are like, just leave things alone, wait, let's see where the chips all fall. And this is so important, especially for those that are maintaining their own site. I often forget as someone who is in it all the time and maintains my clients' sites, I keep things pretty clean from them and I know what I'm looking for so I can keep the bumps at a minimum. But I was doing a website review with someone yesterday and realized that, to the average person who's not in it every day, sometimes you enable things and do things that you're like, what the heck? And so what's happening with WordPress? What's all the red post about? What's all the flurry in our own community about? Well, WordPress just released version 5. Now, version 4 came out 2 years ago. So there's been 2 whole years of development going into this, and probably more. So you can only imagine what that means, right? This is no small update. And version 5, and it's called Gutenberg, at least the internal name, isn't a wonderful thing, especially to those that are coming to WordPress. When WordPress started, you needed to almost know HTML. And then we got like a visual editor, which was kind of like moving within Microsoft Office. And a lot of people built page builders to help give people who are doing it themselves or want to be in there in collaboration with their developer, the ability to I want a column and just move the blocks around instead of having to know code or just have a page that was just straight text. And so that's what Gutenberg is. There's 2 parts to it. One part is the user experience as the person managing the site. You now have what are called blocks. And so instead of needing to use a page builder, although I will still use them with my clients because they will always extend the basics, but even built into the core now is this ability to have blocks, this ability to do columns and videos and just things that have more of a visual kind of, I put the pieces together. It's also really a big deal in how the website is saved and ultimately will be shared in the future. We have a very forward-looking leader, Matt Mollywig, definitely always has his eye ahead on what things are going to be, which often causes us people who are in it every day to grumble and complain because this is definitely making life complicated. But we know he's got his eye on the future, and he's got an eye on how websites will be consumed both by users and by search engines and by all of it going forward. And it's positioning WordPress so WordPress doesn't just burn out. A technology that doesn't keep changing and evolving is eventually going to die out. It's going to peak, but then another solution is going to come in to fix the need that has arisen over time if the technology doesn't keep up. Problem is, keeping up can be painful, and this is where we're at. So there's been a little bit going on before the release. Some of you may or may not have had experience to this, one of which is there's been a Gutenberg plugin. So even running version 4, 4.9 for the most part now, you've had the ability to install Gutenberg on your site and experience it before the core comes out. But I would argue that there's a difference between a plugin and WordPress being recoded. If it was just simply that plugin, we wouldn't be getting as excited. You wouldn't be having hosts like WP Engine and SiteGround saying we're not pushing updates like we usually do, or recommending you wait a month until some of the dust settles. We recommend you do a backup, do a staging area, update it there, and only if it looks good, bring it in. We don't usually see things like advanced custom fields, which a lot of custom websites are built on, saying, we are not compatible. Update at your own peril right now. We are scrambling. We are doing our best, but we're not there. Even Yoast, many of us know Yoast for SEO, saying, guys, this where the world's not exactly ready. So do expect some bumps over the next couple months. And if you think WordPress has had a lot of updates, expect a lot of them. So this call for this live all happened yesterday. I was supporting a business owner, Jen, with her website. She had actually enabled the Gutenberg plugin, but she also used Divi. And unbeknownst to her, you had almost 2 page builders that weren't ready to work together, trying to work together. And her back end was like, what the hell? And that's what's going to happen for people when they just update to Gutenberg, when they're not knowing what they're doing and not expecting it. They're going to get in there and go, what the hell? Because not every plugin, not every theme is in sync just yet. And as Gutenberg comes out and finds bugs, which always happens in major releases, they might change some stuff where even if something was working, a change might cause something to fall out of sync. So I don't share this with you to stress you out. I mean, yes, there's reality. I'm stressed. You might be stressed. To anyone who's on my maintenance plan, you don't have to stress because I'll stress for you. I am definitely testing sites. I'm doing them in staging areas. I'm doing all of these things, so your experience should be smooth sailing. And if there's any issues, you know exactly where to send that email. But if you're managing your website yourself, here's what I'd say. If you've got a pretty basic site, you're not really using anything like a Divi builder, Beaver builder, Aveda Fusion builder. If you're just using core WordPress, you probably can safely upgrade. You still might want to wait a bit, but it's probably pretty safe. If you're using a builder like Divi Builder, if you've got active advanced custom post types, if you've got Fusion Builder, Beaver Builder, Divi Builder, any of those builders in there, which so many sites right now have, I would say hold off. Do a couple things. One, back up your site. This is a must, period. But before you do any updates, back up your site. Install the plugin Classic Editor. This is a plugin that WordPress guarantees to support through like 2000, I think it's 2021, and I think even beyond. This basically says, I know you upgrade to Gutenberg, but like, I don't want to see it yet. Just keep things the way they were. Now, again, I don't know that even when you've got a plugin like that and you've updated the core, at least initially, it's going to be seamless. And so I would say to you right now, do a backup, install and activate the Classic editor so you have it for when you do update, and hold off on really updating anything on your site unless you know the security issue until January. Because again, there are going to be bumps. And unless you're someone like me who sees a bump and immediately knows what's going on, like with Jen, you know, I saw some funny business. I logged into her site, and within 5 minutes, I knew probably where the conflict was coming from, resolved it, no problem. She was looking at her site going, what the hell just happened? And so while we are moving forward, while this is a great thing and a good thing, it might hurt a little. And, you know, there's a lot of, I mean, this is really, I will be honest, this is controversial in the WordPress community right now. A lot of people are not pleased because right now, today, a big conference is happening. It's called WordCamp US. Many of you know I've spoken at many a WordCamp, WordCamp US, WordCamp Europe. Those are kind of the big hub talks. And a lot of these leaders, you know, the founder of Beaver Builder is at that conference. And yet, in some ways, the rug's been pulled out from underneath him at the same time. Of course, he's got a team, but still, it's like, ah. And so there's a lot of feelings of scrambling. If you do decide to update to WordPress 5.0, be prepared to be updating your site like every other day. You know, when new software comes out, especially when you've spent 2 years developing it, there is no way you can't not have learning. And again, this is why your hosts like SiteGround, WP Engine, Pressable, a lot of the great ones are just saying and advising, if you don't have to update, don't update. Do your backups, install Classic Editor, let the dust settle, and then listen to people like myself, at your own risk, right? But listen to people like myself who have a pulse on what's going on. And I will know, for example, Elementor is one builder who has announced they are compatible with Gutenberg. but I know Beaver Builder has issues. I know Divi has issues. I'm guessing, I wouldn't be surprised that Beta Fusion Builder may have issues, especially if you've not been keeping your theme up to date. You've been updating everything else, but not your theme. You may still have issues. And so I really suspect, for at least the short term, if you've had a site at least 6 months and more, Classic Editor is going to be your friend. The other thing that's coming is PHP 7.2. I know geeky codey, but if you're managing your own site, you got to know this. PHP is one of the software that websites are run on. I'm going to go over, guys. It's probably too late now if no one can hear me and they've told me I still have no sound, like I did the first video. But PHP 7.2 is coming out in January. PHP, the prior versions, 5.6 and 7.2 are hitting end of life. What does this mean? It means they're not being updated. It's not being supported. It means that speed enhancements, security fixes, all of these things are going into 7.2, not the old ones. And so you need to update. Really good hosts like WP Engine is doing two things. They're basically pushing the update in January, and they're giving their users a chance to preview their site in as kind of a, what if you were in 2.0 land and see if you have, like, most of my sites are fine. One of my maintenance clients, I saw a white screen of death. We're going to have to go in and see what legacy code isn't quite moving forward. Other hosts like GoDaddy, unfortunately, tend to just say, you, the user, have to, one, know to even do this, know how to do this, and then deal with the consequences. You'll find that there's a reason I suggest premium hosting for both my high-end and more budget-conscious clients, because sometimes $200 a year is worth it to have that foundational high-end care to keep your site humming, hack-free, and just generally in good shape. But that's its own live and own soapbox. So for today, the takeaways from this video are going to be: install and activate the Classic Editor, make sure you're backing up your site, update with caution, especially now through January, and listen to people like myself. Have your ear out to listen. I probably should start writing my list with these updates because I often do forget. One of the beauties of doing these website reviews, which I've started doing, and I apologize to anyone who's requested and I haven't gotten to it yet. I've been getting a lot of requests, and I'll probably be coming live later today with another pop-up review because we certainly all can learn from each other. But one thing I'm learning by doing these reviews, as I'm more in the trenches with users now who are managing their own site and offering kind of a collaborative support for them, is they don't know what buttons to click. My clients have a luxury of having someone on their team who knows what buttons to click, so their experience is pretty consistent. They're not wondering what to do, and if they do, they have someone to email. When you are managing your own site, because you just need to at this phase of your business, sometimes you click buttons that don't play nice, and that's what happened to the person I worked with yesterday. And that's why I'm loving doing these reviews, because I'm connecting in with you guys and I know what to share now. And I'm also doing what I'm going to be doing with her, which is I'm offering 2 1-hour collaborative website renovation, sort of collaborative working on your site, where I hop on a Zoom call with you and we dig into those things where you get to ask those questions of why the hell is it doing this? And I've been forever frustrated about that. And I'm finding it's a beautiful middle ground between being completely on your own as a DIYer and being ready to invest multiple thousands of dollars because your business is there and it is able to say, please just make it happen, make it so. These sessions, these few hours here and there with me, I'm finding to be a gorgeous opportunity for me to enjoy getting back to those who are still in the trenches, and for them to be able to pick someone like my brain who's been doing it over 10 years. And I have learned the hard way the things you're learning the hard way, and I can hopefully save you a few of those learning opportunities, and I can do them instead. So that's why I wanted to share with you today. Again, praying the sound has come through because I don't want to have to do a 3rd times the charm video. But this is Jocelyn Mozak signing off with another Water Cooler Conversations. We're on as online business owners gather together, talk all things business, the nuts and bolts like today, the emotional like many a time when I speak. Because reality is we are our business. We do not have work and life in 2 buckets. We are one person living this life, doing our thing. And if you have any questions, concerns, needs, want a review, please feel free to reach out to me. Your question to me prompts me to do these. And remember, if you have a question, you're not the only one. There is no stupid question. There is no question too basic. And I am honored each and every time someone reaches out to me because I know how precious your business is to you. And I am honored to be a part of it and support you in doing as I do what I love to do in the world, supporting you in doing what you love to do in the world. So that's all she wrote for today. Keep an eye out for more pop-up website reviews and other things as there's news on the WordPress front as we move into this new life of WordPress 5.0, Gutenberg, and block editing. It's going to be exciting, but may have a few hair-pulling moments as we get excited. Have a fabulous day, upcoming weekend, and I will see you guys later.